Hello everyone. Today I will be talking about a very vital concept which you must have heard whenever you are doing statistics uh, like t-test or ANOVA or ANCOVA. So whenever you got the final result, you must have heard about a concept, a particular term which is called as degrees of freedom. So this degrees of freedom is quite important to understand whenever we try to follow the table to compare the obtained value to the critical value. Similarly, whenever we are trying to get the idea of if a particular obtained value is significant or not, this degrees of freedom is quite important. So degrees of freedom gives you the idea about the statistical significance of a particular test. So one thing is quite clear that it depends upon the sample size or and whatever sample number is there, it is calculated using that one. So let us try to understand degrees of freedom so that we can use it whenever we are conducting research in the field of education, social sciences. So let us try to understand. So let us try to understand what is this degrees of freedom. So you can always see that the maximum number of logically independent values, which are values that have the freedom to vary in the data sample. So suppose you have used a particular sample to do a particular study. So this particular sample, suppose the n is the number of sample. So how many data point in this particular value can vary whenever you are using a particular statistics. So you will understand whenever when I will give you one example. So let us first try to understand the concept theoretically. So these are the values which can vary, which can vary and keeping the statistics constant. So that is the main idea, that what is the degrees of freedom of that particular sample. So if it is mean, then the degrees of freedom will be something different. If it is median, then the degrees of freedom will be something different. It will be, if it will be a t-test based on that particular sample, then the degrees of freedom will be different. So thinking about that particular sample, the number of units in that particular sample, how many units of that particular sample can vary without changing that particular statistical value like mean, t ANOVA or chi-square value. So that is the idea of degrees of freedom. I will explain you giving certain example. So whenever we talk about degrees of freedom, it refers to the number of independent values or quantities that can vary in an analysis without violating any constant. So our constant in the first is, suppose the mean we are calculating mean of a particular sample, then mean is our constant. So how many data point in that particular sample can vary independently taking any value without changing their mean value. So it is used in various statistical tests to determine significance and reliability. So degrees of freedom is essential for estimating variability and making inferences. So suppose our degrees of freedoms are high, then we can say that okay, our research has got more significance, or we can say that our irrespective of data points, because we suppose our degrees of freedoms are 10 or degrees of freedom are 100 or degrees of freedom is 50. So if the number is large, you can always say that okay, we have got the same statistics or same result will get keeping this much keeping the data point which can vary up to this much extent. So higher degrees of freedom are quite important whenever you are conducting a research. So it represents the number of values that are free to vary after certain restrictions are applied. So suppose we are talking about mean. I am giving an example of mean because mean is the basic statistics that you use whenever you get a particular set of data. The first statistics that we try to implement is calculating the mean of that particular data points. So, suppose we are doing research based on a particular sample and we have calculated mean, then the restriction is your mean value. So, suppose we have got 20 is your sample size and you have calculated mean, suppose mean has come as 15. So, out of these 20 data points, how many data points can vary independently? Can we say that all the 20 points can take any value, or one data point can take any value? Suppose first value of that particular sample is 15, or second second unit has got the value as 18. So, can this 15 value can take the value as 5, second value which I am taking saying as 18 can take a value of 25. So, and then also the mean will remain same. So, what is your idea? So can all the points can be changed, or some fixed point can change? So, if you think about mathematics of the mean, you can say that all the points except one can take any value and we can get the same mean. So, let us keep the patience. I will explain this with an example. So, wait for that one. So, degrees of freedom helps in determining the statistical power and accuracy of hypothesis testing. So, hypothesis testing, for hypothesis testing it is quite important. The concept is crucial for understanding how sample data behaves. So, if we know the degrees of freedom, we can say that whatever table value you are going to consider using degrees of freedom, it is more reliable than taking the entire n and then you are seeing that particular table. So, that is quite important. So, now I will give you some example. So, suppose this is one example. This example will make you clear about the idea of degrees of freedom. So, suppose we have 5 number with a fixed mean. So, we have got 5 numbers. I was giving you an example of 20 numbers. Let us see that there are 5 numbers. So, suppose this 5 number has got the mean as a particular quantity. Suppose mean is 20. So, if we change 4 numbers freely, suppose you have got 5 numbers and if you change 4 numbers freely, still then by keeping the fifth number by giving a fifth number a particular value, we can still get the mean as 20. So, what I told that if 4 numbers are freely chosen, so we can always take the 4 numbers, any value we can give. First number can be 20, first number can change to be 25, and suppose first number can be changed to -5. But we can only change 4 numbers freely. The fifth number has to be chosen such that the mean will get the same. The mean, suppose we have got the mean as 20. So, this is the idea behind degrees of freedom. So, total observation minus constant. So, constant is only that mean value. So, mean total number of observation was 5 and mean we are calculating on this. So, 5 minus 1. So, the degrees of freedom will be 4. So, suppose if the mean of 3 number is 10 and we know 2 numbers, the third number is fixed, not free to vary. So, if 2 is the degrees of freedom, 2 number can take any value, and based on these 2 number we can always calculate a third number which will be the fixed. It cannot take any value because we have got a constant that the mean is 10. So, in that way degrees of freedom idea works. So, this example demonstrates that we impose constraints, the number of values that can independently vary. So, this example demonstrates that as we impose constant, the number of values that can independently vary reduces. Here the constant is only mean. So, suppose we calculate a correlation of coefficient, there will be 2 constants, there will be 2 means you have to use because 2 variables are there, 2 means we have to use. So, the number of constant varies and that is why the degrees of freedom will further reduce. So, in this way the idea of degrees of freedom works. So let us first read for the degrees of freedom for standard deviation and variance. When calculating sample variance and standard deviation, we use degrees of freedom as n minus 1. So for SD and variance, degrees of freedom is n minus 1. So if the sample size is 25, degrees of freedom will be 25 minus 1, 24. Why n minus 1? Because one value is lost when we use sample mean to estimate population variance. So this is the constraint. The sample mean you have used and which is fixed value. So because of this, we have subtracted one point, we have subtracted 1 from the entire sample size. So that is the reason behind the degrees of freedom of that particular set of values for standard deviation and variance. Because the mean is estimated from the data, reducing 1 degrees of freedom. So this mean has reduced the degrees of freedom by 1. So that is the reason behind subtracting 1 from the entire sample size. Now the most important t-test. So we must have heard about t-test, which is most popularly used whenever we are doing research in the field of education. Now 3 most popular tests for t-test is, first one is one sample t-test, second one is independent sample t-test, and third one is the paired sample t-test. So you can watch my video on t-test and you can get this different 3 types of test when we are using one sample t-test, when we are using independent sample t-test, and when the paired sample t-test is used. So the idea behind one sample t-test is when we compare the particular sample statistics with a fixed norm, then it is one sample t-test. So here it is quite obvious, we subtract minus 1 because one fixed constants, one particular mean you have to use, and one particular mean is used, and one particular mean that is quite based on that particular sample. For that particular sample you are calculating one mean, and that particular mean is used whenever you are using one sample t-test. So because of that particular constant, you subtract 1 from that particular sample. So from that particular fixed point, we are trying to compare our sample whatever mean you have calculated. So if we just subtract minus 1 from the entire sample size. Now when 2 independent samples are there, so suppose we are comparing between boys and girls, we are comparing between government and private school students. So these 2 sets are quite independent. So these 2 sets and these independent sample t-test are most used whenever we are conducting research in the field of education and in the field of social sciences like psychology, sociology, etc. So whenever we are calculating the independent sample t-test, degrees of freedom, because 2 independent groups are there, 2 independent different means are there. So for each group we subtract 1. So the entire degrees of freedom will be for the first sample, if the sample size is n1, suppose number of boys are n1, so n1 minus 1, that will be the first degrees of freedom for that particular sample. And the other group is there where suppose number of girls, the number of girls is suppose n2, and n1 and n2 need not to be the same. Suppose number of boys are 35 and number of girls are 65, so we can always use that one. So n1 minus 1 is your 35 minus 1, and then n2 minus 1 is 65 minus 1. So total is 100 and minus 2, that is 98 will be the degrees of freedom. Or you can say in other way, we can say that entire sample size is 100 minus 2. So popularly you used to say as for the independent sample t-test, the degrees of freedom is n minus 2, where n is the entire sample size. Now let us come to the pair t-test. For the pair t-test, since we analyze pair differences, suppose one group is there and we have got we are conducting repeated number of tests. So before treatment one test, after giving the one particular intervention or particular treatment, we after a particular period of time you are again conducting test on the same group, and again you are going waiting for a particular period of time and again you are conducting a test on the same group. So this is an example of paired t-test. Or whenever we are we have made two groups, experimental and control group in experimental study, and we have matched the pairs, one to one matching we have done. So you can understand about experimental research by watching the video on experimental research, which is already there in my video collection. So what is paired t-test? There you can understand if the sample has been matched one to one. In that case also we can have that paired t-test. So here the differences, since we analyze paired differences, so because both the groups are paired, so the degrees of freedom will be n minus 1, the entire sample size minus 1. So that is the case whenever we are going for paired t-test. So in this way we are conducting degrees of freedom for t-test. So if one sample t-test is there, it is n minus 1, total sample size minus 1. If independent two samples are there, then we get the entire sample size, means it includes both the group, n minus 2, n minus 2, and for the paired t-test it is n minus 1. So degrees of freedom in t-test depend on sample size and whether the samples are independent or paired. So this is the case of independent. I told you example, boys and girls, government and private school, urban and rural groups. So suppose we are saying that students from urban area and rural area has not got difference in their achievement, then this is the case of independent two sample test of this particular hypothesis. And paired t-test, suppose we say that the group performance has not changed after the treatment. So this is the paired t-test. Or experimental group, we can say that, or for experimental study where both groups, experimental and control groups, are matched, we can say that the gain score of the experimental group does not significantly differ from the gain score of the control group. I hope you understand what is gain score. Gain score for experimental group is pre-treatment and then whatever score they have got after the treatment. So if for particular student you subtract this one, that is the gain score. For the control group also pre-existing condition and after the treatment period, which may be the treatment may be a traditional teaching, and then we subtract the post-test minus pre-test. So in the control group that is the gain score. And for the experimental group, after that experimental treatment, may be activity based method, maybe collaborative learning method, or technology based intervention. So if you subtract post minus pre or pre minus post, whatever difference is there, we say as gain score. So that one, this for the experimental group, and for the control group, two groups we got. And if this is the condition, then that is the example of paired t-test, and here degrees of freedom is n minus 1. So the entire sample size minus 1. Now degrees of freedom in correlation. So correlation, we have got the idea. The correlation, every time there are two set of variables and one group is there. Now two set of variables, suppose height and weight, suppose achievement in science and attitude in science. So these are the example of correlation whenever we are trying to find out correlation. So here degrees of freedom is n minus 2. Why n minus 2? Because we calculate two means, one for the x variable and the other for the y variable. So because this x and y, which is a fixed value for a particular set of for a particular group of students, we lose 1 degrees of freedom for each variable, that is x and y. So the degrees of freedom will be entire sample size minus 2. So suppose we are considering a study, we are saying that the achievement in science and attitude in science of the students is not related. So this is our hypothesis, null hypothesis, that achievement in science and attitude in science is not related, and our sample size is suppose 150. So for 150 students, we calculated their achievement in science, and we also calculated their attitude in science. Then we subtract 150 is there, 150 minus 2, that is 148 will be the degrees of freedom for correlation of coefficient. So this is the idea of degrees of freedom whenever we are going for calculating degrees of freedom of correlation coefficient. Whenever we are calculating that statistics, the degrees of freedom is n minus 2. Now let us see the degrees of freedom for chi-square test. So whenever we are conducting chi-square test, we know that two different cases are there. One is for test of goodness of fit, and the other one is for test of independence of different set of variable. So whatever may be the case, we know that whenever we are using it, you can use it by making a contingency table of the observed frequency and the different categories. So we have got observed frequency, we have got different categories, and we can always calculate the expected frequencies. So we calculate different we construct different contingency tables. So contingency tables composed of columns and rows. So whenever we are making cross tabs, we are calculating chi-square using cross tabs whenever we are doing this particular analysis using SPSS, or whenever you are doing it manually also when we are making a table. So it composed of different categories and then the number of expected frequencies. So the for the goodness of fit test, that means if you are saying that the observed frequency is as per the normal distribution, or it is as per a given norm, suppose of equal probability, suppose we toss a coin, then we always know that probability of getting heads and tail according to the theory is 0.5 or half. And what will be the observed if you perform that experiment, you toss the coin suppose 80 times, and then you observe how many heads, how many tails you have got. So you calculated that particular number of occurrence of head, number of occurrence of tail, and then if you compare with what is expected one, that is I told that probability is half, then in that case the goodness of fit is categories minus 1. So categories here are two categories are there, number of occurrence of head and number of occurrence of tail. So 2 minus 1 1. So that is when you calculate for the goodness of fit test. You can take other examples. Suppose someone is tell that how much is the observed frequency is as per the normal probability curve. So you follow the normal probability curve, and based on that sample size, suppose 200 sample size is there, what is according to the normal distribution, what should be the outcome and what is actual observed outcome, and whenever we compare that one. So if it is what you can say different suppose preferences are there, 5-point rating scale is there, then of course our goodness of fit will be categories minus 1. So categories here are 5, so 5 minus 1 4 will be there. So it depends upon whenever you are conducting goodness of fit test based on a given norm, based on normal probability curve distribution. See, the idea is the formula for goodness of fit is categories minus 1, which you can see here. This is for that particular case. Now if you are considering the contingency tables, or we can say that independence of that particular set of variables, suppose we were saying that height is not related with the performance of the student. Suppose this is your study, the height, and you make three category: average heighted, above average heighted, and below average heighted. Three categories are there. You take the frequencies of persons, those who belong to above average category height, those who belong to above average height, and then those who are below average height, and then you take their performance in a particular test, and there also you make three categories: above average performance, average performance, and below average performance, and then you make a contingency table. So here we have got what you can say three categories of the first variable, that is height, above average, average, and below average. And similarly for the performance, three categories are there: average performance, above average performance, and below average performance. So this table if you will consider, then it will have 3 columns and 3 rows, and then you know how to do chi-square. Otherwise you can see my video and doing this chi-square test, how to calculate for the contingency table. So if you have got that one, so you got that number of columns are 3, number of rows are 3. So the formula will be row minus 1 into column minus 1. So row is 3 minus 1 2, and column minus 1, column is also 3, 3 minus 1 2. So 2 into 2 4, 4 will be the degrees of freedom. So in that way we calculate degrees of freedom for chi-square test. I hope you understand what is the meaning of and how you are calculating degrees of freedom for different cases. First, if you are going for goodness of fit test, how to calculate, how many categories are there, and you subtract minus 1. And if contingency table you have made, you made a cross tab, you made one table for expected and observed frequency, and both the columns and rows are representing different variables categories. I told height and performance, it can be color of eyes and color of the skin. That maybe you have studied that if color of skin and color of eye is associated or not. So if you perform that particular study, there also contingency table you have to make, and you have to follow the same thing, row minus 1 minus into column minus 1. Now come to degrees of freedom in ANOVA, analysis of variance. See, if I am explaining this particular thing for t-test, for chi-square, or for ANOVA, and then ANCOVA, correlation, you first of all you should understand what is ANOVA, what is t-test, what is chi-square test. You must understand that one. You should know this particular thing, then only you can understand how I am getting degrees of freedom. So if you want to understand these particular degrees of freedom, you must first read ANOVA, analysis of variance, how analysis of variance is being found. So if you understand ANOVA, then only you can understand degrees of freedom. So and I have made video on that one also. You can see that videos of ANOVA or further on ANCOVA and chi-square. So if you understand this particular concept, this particular statistics, then only you can understand their degrees of freedom. Now you know that whenever we are finding ANOVA, we use the concept as sum of squares within, sum of square between, or sometimes it is also called as sum of squares among, sum of square among or sum of square between is same. We are using that one, you are using it sum of square among also you are saying. So sum of square among and sum of square between, that is the idea that we are using in ANOVA, and sum of square within is also there. So suppose let me try to explain you. Suppose we are considering that if the performance of students vary based on their boards, suppose 3 boards are there, CBSE, ICSE and Bihar board, or some state board is there. So suppose 3 boards are there, that means it is an example of conducting ANOVA, and you want to see that if there is a difference between the performance of this particular 3 board, the 3 particular group of students belonging to the 3 different boards. So now here the number of boards is the group, that is we have got 3 groups, CBSE, CBSE, ICSC, and that state board is there, state board. So this is called as number of groups. Sometimes you are trying to, let me give one other example. Suppose you are trying to see that different types of interventions you have given to, suppose you made 4 groups, and in one group you are teaching through traditional method, in second group you are teaching through a technology based method, in third group you are teaching by activity based method, in fourth group you are teaching through role play method, and you try to compare that if the performance differ in these 4 treatment groups, then number of group is 4. So what will be the sum of what will be the, and you know, first of all you must know that whenever we are following ANOVA table, whenever you got the value of f and you have to refer to the table, then you are using 2 degrees of freedom, 2 different degrees of freedom. One is for the among groups and the other one is for within groups. So among or between groups is the treatment groups or number of groups. Based on that, that is giving you the first degree of freedom. 2 degrees of freedom basically we try to use. You use in this way degrees of freedom, that is 2 comma, suppose 2 comma 98. I will give you this example. Suppose 2 comma 98, and then you try to see the table. So 2 different degrees of freedom you have to use whenever you are doing ANOVA, whenever you are doing ANCOVA. So sum of square between or among is number of groups minus 1. So here in this case it will be 3 minus 1, that is 2. And suppose your entire sample size is 100. You have got the students from CBSE, you have got student from ICSE, and you have got student from the state board, and entire sample size is 100. So you, for within group sum of square, within, it is also called sum of square between. So sum of square within is n minus k. N minus k, that is, it is 100 minus k, sorry, I have written is 100 minus 3. 3 groups are there, so it is 97. So here it will be, if you take this example, so here it will be 97, not. So if you, when you see the table, then you have to see this referring to these 2 values, 2 comma 97. What is the degrees of freedom of what is the value, critical value from the table? We try to follow the table using these 2 degrees of freedom, 2 comma 97. So, and we also have got total degrees of freedom, this is, which is also called as sum of square total. For the sum of square total, degrees of freedom is n minus 1. So it is 100 minus 1 in our case, what example I am taking. So it is 99. So you just try to see here also 2 comma 97 is 2 plus 97 is also 99. So sum of square total, we know from the idea of ANOVA is sum of square total is always equal to sum of square within plus sum of square between. So degrees of freedom, in the case of degrees of freedom, is also degrees of freedom of some total sum of square is always equal to some degrees of freedom of within group and degrees of freedom of between groups. So from that also you can try to see it is 2 comma 97. So in that way you are using the idea of degrees of freedom for ANOVA. So it is for the between group or for the among group, it is k minus 1, number of treatment minus 1, or number of groups minus 1. For within group, it is n minus k, and is the entire sample size, means all the groups taken together, and total sample size minus how many treatment groups or how many groups we have got. So n minus k, it is 100 minus 3. For this particular example, it is 97, and total is, you can add these 2 degrees of freedom, in that way also you can get, or it is n minus 1, total sample size minus 1. So in this way, suppose for example 3 groups with 10 observation each, degrees of freedom between is 2, because 3 groups are there. So 3 minus 1, using this formula, 3 minus 1, it is 2, and degrees of freedom within is 27. How? Because it is 30, total n is 30, 3 groups 10 plus 10 plus 10 30 minus 3, so 10 minus 3 is 27, is 27 you have got. So in this way the degrees of freedom of ANOVA we try to find out. Now coming to the idea of degrees of freedom of ANCOVA, analysis of covariance. So you must know that you should know what is ANCOVA, and then only you can understand degrees of freedom of ANCOVA. So ANCOVA, here the idea of covariate is there. So if you know ANCOVA, you know what is the idea of covariate. So this covariate is used whenever you are calculating the degrees of freedom of analysis of covariance. Here also two different degrees of freedoms are there, just like ANOVA. So this between group formula is same. So it is k minus 1. There also it was k minus 1. Between groups or among groups, degrees of freedom is k minus 1. For the within groups, previously for ANOVA it was n minus k number of treatment groups, but you also subtract number of covariates. So suppose pre-test score is covariate, then you subtract 1. If you use the number of covariates are more than 1, then you use that one. Suppose 2 covariates are there, suppose first one is pre-test score, second one is their attitude score or some other variable. So if you want to use it as covariate, then how many covariates are there, that also you subtract whenever you are getting the degrees of freedom for within group. So n minus k minus 1, that is the formula. This first one for between group or among group, it is k minus 1 only. For within group, the formula you just from the previously it was n minus k, you just add this subtraction more number of covariates. Now total degrees of freedom is again n minus 1. Total degrees of freedom is n minus 1 only. It was earlier also it was n minus 1, now also it is n minus 1. So suppose one example you can say that suppose k is the number of groups, so degrees of freedom for treatment is, or treatment groups, how many treatment groups, suppose 3 groups are there, so you subtract minus 1 k minus 1 from this same formula, you got this one. Now suppose you have got one covariate, so that covariate has got 1 degrees of freedom. So degrees of freedom for that error term or that within term is n minus k minus 1. This is the covariate term. So if number of covariates will be more, then it will become more. If 2 is there, then n minus k minus 2. So ANCOVA adjust for covariates, that you know, if you understand, if you know already what is the idea of analysis of covariance, it adjusts the covariates. So if the differences exist in that in particular set of variable, many a times when you can go for experimental study, and if the performance of the both the group students, if you fail to get the matching pairs in both the groups, suppose both the groups differ in their pre-test level, suppose pre-test score are not equal, both the groups are not the same, then you have to adjust that pre-test score and it becomes a covariates. So ANCOVA adjusts the covariates, reducing within group degrees of freedom by number of covariates used. So for within groups, previously it was n minus k, but because you have used this one covariate for adjusting the variance in that particular covariates, so 1 more degrees of freedom will be reduced for within group. So let us take one example. Suppose you have got 2 groups and the total observation, this is n is 20. 2 groups are there and total observation is 20. Then and covariate is 1 covariate is there. Then what is the degrees of freedom of error or degrees of freedom of within is, suppose the formula is n is 20 is the total value, and that means for 2 groups it is saying that the total n is total means entire two, for the entire two groups number of variable is number of observation is 20. So for two groups suppose n is 20 minus k here is 2, so you put 2 and then one covariate also you subtract, so total will be 17. So that's why you got 17. So this is the only difference between getting the degrees of freedom for ANOVA and getting the degrees of freedom of ANCOVA. Only the difference lies between number of covariates, and the formula changes only for within groups or finding out the error variance. So for within groups the formula becomes n minus k minus number of covariates. I hope you understood what is the idea of degrees of freedom of analysis of covariance. So let us try to summarize. So degrees of freedom are crucial concept in statistics, reflecting the number of independent values in an analysis. So whatever analysis you are doing t-test, you are doing ANOVA, or you are doing chi-square test. So knowing the degrees of freedom helps you in better exploring the interpretation. They vary depending on statistical test that we have already explored. Understanding degrees of freedom ensures accurate interpretation of result. So whenever you are following the table using degrees of freedom, it can give you the exact result. So what is the practical importance of degrees of freedom? It determines the shape of the distribution. So based on the degrees of freedom, so you used to get one number, so that number can tell you that if the t distribution or chi-square distribution is normal or not. Affects critical value and p values in hypothesis testing, you can very well understand. So if sample size is there and if you get degrees of freedom, many times the degrees of freedoms are less than that entire sample size. So when you follow the table using degrees of freedom, then you can get the exact critical value, and then you can get the p related p value, and it helps in hypothesis testing. So ensures the validity of statistical test. So whatever results you get using that degrees of freedom, it will help you in giving the correct interpretation of that particular result. Degrees of freedom impacts the critical values and conclusion in hypothesis testing, so you can conclude in better way. Essential in hypothesis testing and estimating variability, so it helps in estimating the correct hypothesis testing. Degrees of freedom calculation vary depending on the statistical test used. So what you already have seen, degrees of freedom formula is not same, it varies, and for t-test it is different, for chi-square test it is different, for ANOVA it is different. Understanding degrees of freedom helps in interpret statistical result correctly. So statistical results can be correctly interpreted. Higher degrees of freedom in t-test makes the distribution closer to normal, that is quite sure. So if degrees of freedom is more, the number becomes more, and then the distribution become more normal, that you can easily understand. Mastering degrees of freedom is crucial for proper application and interpretation of statistical methods. So thank you. I hope you have understood the idea of degrees of freedom. I gave you the idea of degrees of freedom for t-test, for ANOVA, for ANCOVA, for chi-square, for correlation of coefficient, for standard deviation and variance. So this will help you in taking correct decision whenever you are following the table and based on degrees of freedom. You got the ideas of using 2 degrees of freedom whenever you are conducting ANOVA and ANCOVA. What is the within group degrees of freedom, what is the between group degrees of freedom, and how to follow that one. So this will help you in taking a correct decision, following the correct p value, and always your hypothesis testing will become better. So thank you. I hope you understood this particular concept. Try to subscribe this channel and always like this particular video. Okay, thank you.